I would say there are two sides to this. I don't think there's anything socialist about Obama. I think this is a total misnomer. This is something that's launched by the Limbaughs and the Hannitys. The correct term, and I'm sorry about this, but it's the fascist corporate state. In my book, Obama, the Unauthorized Biography, I have a whole chapter towards the end where I go through scholarly literature from historians and political scientists and sociologists. They've come up with what is defined as a fascist minimum. In other words, if you take all the European and indeed U.S. fascist groups of the 1920s and 30s, you can take Salazar in Portugal, Franco in Spain, Sir Oswald Mosley in Britain, the French movement of this guy Doriot. You can go to the Baltic states. You can go to the Iron Guard in Romania with Codriano. You go to Mussolini's Italy, and then Hitler's Germany. And you can add in the I think the silver shirts here in the U.S. There were blue shirts, I think, or green shirts in Ireland. So what is it that all these groups have in common? And they come up with about 10 or 12 points in terms of the ideology, the role of the charismatic leader, the dynamics of the movement, the anti-woman, the anti-feminism that's typical of these movements. And if you then compare that to Obama, which I do in some detail, you find that Obama actually tests positive, and his movement, they test positive on a very alarmingly high number of these points. So that's one side, the movement. The other one then is the corporate state. In other words, what did Mussolini do to reorganize the Italian economy in the 1920s? He created a series of government-sponsored compulsory cartels where labor was forced to participate in the same way that the United Auto Workers are being forced to cut their own throats in the Detroit takedown, that the American Federation of Teachers is being forced to cut their own throats with merit pay and charter schools and all the rest of it. So you force government and labor and the bosses, management, into one entity, and then you use that as a compulsory cartel. You're going to drive down wages, drive down production, but prop up fictitious capital. In other words, the bloated bubble prices of stocks, bonds, and today derivatives. So we can say that the accurate term is indeed this reference to the Mussolini.
I understand that, but regardless, state. It's not racist to say he's a socialist,
no.
And it shows that they're cold-bloodedly doing this. Let's play some manhandling and then take calls. We'll have to have you back up for part 2 next week on the eugenics, because this is topical and happening now, but the eugenics is the foundation to all of it. Here is Spectre today. Now, 30 questions were randomly handed out, cards. And 29 of them were against the government takeover, the eugenics, death care. And that's what it is. I've read it. Now, this guy gets up. He was promised he could speak. He tells Spectre he's not buying it. And this thug thinks it's normal to grab him and shove the old man in the corner. Go ahead and play it.
You want to be let out of here, you're welcome to go. Now wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Look at the muscle guy picking on some little old man. Just thinks he's so tough. But see, it was good the guy sat there and took it, because then it makes him the thug. But and that's who they are. They're just so stupid. And they just love big government. They love it. Here, finish it up. Look at Spectre acting like the little old man's done something wrong and all puffing up. Just disgusting creature. This is the guy that says bullets can shoot through 2 people and metal and not even be damaged. This is the magic bullet fraud. Here he is.
Wait a minute.
I am leaving. I have every right to leave.
Wait a minute. He has a right to leave. He's right.
He is trying
Wait a minute. You want to leave? Leave.
I am going to speak my mind before I leave, because your people told me I could. I called your office and I was told I could have the mic to speak. And then I was lied to, because I came prepared to speak, and instead you wouldn't let anybody speak. You handed out, 30 cards? Well, I got news for you. That you and your cronies in the government do this kind of stuff all the time. Well, I don't care. money to stuff in your pocket so that you can cheat the citizens of this country. So I'll leave, and you can do whatever the hell you please to do. One day God's going to stand before you, and he's going to judge you and the rest of your damn cronies up on the hill. And then you will get your just desserts.
All right, that's enough. All right, you know, the video we found was some angle I hadn't seen, so the audio's not very good. I saw it on the news this morning and last night, cut up. That's the one we have up on Infowars and Prison Planet. You can hear Dingell say, no, yeah, we're going to take that out of the bill. So, see, no health. There's the congressman admitting that they were not going to give his son any health care. Webster Tarpley, comments on this.
I think it's a very important movement. It's a mass strike against genocide, against euthanasia, against austerity. But now we've got to think, what's the next step? You can already see the Republican vultures hovering around. We've got the Competitive Enterprise Institute going in, the Heartland Institute. We've got Freedom Works, which is Dick Armey, the sidekick of Newt Gingrich from the 1990s. The way the political system in this country works is if you don't prepare an alternative, the beneficiary of all this in the end might well be somebody like Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney, the hedge fund hyena. Mitt Romney, it turns out to be the guy who put in place in Massachusetts a plan which I think is very similar to what Obama is really aiming at, which is in Massachusetts, you are forced, you are obliged to buy insurance from private insurance companies. There is no government option. There is no single payer. It's all private, and I think it's not working well at all. I think people are extremely disappointed and unhappy and enraged with this thing. So the question is, if you don't want the ultimate beneficiary of all this to be somebody like Mitt Romney, then you're going to need a program and you're going to need some kind of organizational concept. Because otherwise, as I say, the Republican vultures feel that they could ride this movement back into power, and ultimately they're just as bad or maybe worse.
No, that's how it works. It's the whole left-right paradigm they just alternate between. I want to come back and take at least the call from Hawaii and Christian in Florida. Who knows? And we'll continue with calls on all this tomorrow. It's just too insane. And Webster, you're always chomping at the bit for solutions, but we have to beat this even before we sit there and go over solutions. I mean, I can't even get people to realize that the White House science czar wants to put sterilants in the water, and we know they're already been caught doing it.
We need gridlock.
No, exactly. I would just be glad to beat the cap and trade and all this, because as bad as things are right now, what they want is 10 times worse. So I'm just trying to get past this phase and survive. Final segment straight ahead, prisonplanet.tv. Stay with us.